Welcome to Prepare For Takeoff. I'm the creator and host, Cyrus, with the podcast dedicated to amplifying Black excellence. Every week, we sit down with a proven professional or rising entrepreneur. This week, we're sitting down with Desi OKK, brand strategist and founder of Halo & Kin. Desi, what's going on?
It's good. It's good. So excited to be with you, Terry. It's been a while since we met each other at Black Week, and it was great.
Right. Yeah, I'm glad our paths crossed, and I knew you were a mover and shaker and a force multiplier as soon as we met. So I said, this is a sister I got to plug in with. And it was a room full of movers and shakers, but you stood out.
Room full.
You stood out. So you had the right energy around you. I said, okay, this sister, she's over here doing her thing, and come to find out I wasn't wrong. And we're going to privy our viewers and listeners to all of the greatness that you represent. And I love your hat. So let me just first say that. That hat is fire.
Thank you. Thank you. It's a Black-owned business called The Chemist. It's running out of the UK. So any of you guys want to look them up online, they didn't pay me for it, but I like the hat too. So I'm happy to share.
Let's give them a little bit of shine. So Desi, where did it start for you? Where are you originally from?
I was born and raised in Los Angeles. Yeah, that was my beginnings, and I have been here on the East Coast in New Jersey now for about 18 years. But yeah, that's where I started. That's where it all started, in sunny LA.
So you're in LA,
specifically Inglewood, California.
Inglewood to be exact. I'm listening. We know all about Inglewood. Shout out to Inglewood.
Yes. Secure. Put it on the map.
So what led to you relocating to the New York metropolitan area?
Well, you know how it all starts, right? It's one of those things where you get married, you change, environments, you move to the next phase. And that was essentially my story. I met my husband, who was out in Brooklyn, and decided to move from coast to coast to be with him and start our new life. And that's what brought me over to the East. And so it was Brooklyn first before we then moved over to New Jersey.
Okay. And was there like a period where you had to adjust from being on the West Coast to the East Coast, or was it a smooth transition?
No, it was not a smooth transition. I don't know if you can ever get used to this cold, but let me tell you, I did have a little bit of a preliminary view of what life on the East Coast would look like. So I actually came a little bit earlier, a few years prior to getting married, up to Cornell. So upstate New York, and that's where I did my MBA. And so I had 2 years out in the cold in Ithaca, battling it all and kind of figuring it out. And so that's when the adjustment started. And then obviously when I transitioned and met my husband and moved on to that next phase, it was a little bit easier. But like I said, I do not think you can get used to this cold. It makes no sense.
Especially during certain times of the year. Sometimes of the year, you got to just stay in the house. So now you went and got your MBA in Cornell?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I went and got my MBA at Cornell, and I did 2 years with the focus on brand management. So as you had introduced me, right, I'm a brand strategist. So basically that set me up to pursue a career that I have been in for the last 20 plus years. Now, prior to that, I was actually an accountant, and I worked for Deloitte for a few years. So I've had a few transitions in terms of locations, so from the West to the East, and then in terms of location or changes and shifts when it comes to professions as well. But I am loving marketing, and this is good. It's working.
Right. Once you got your MBA, you transitioned into doing brand strategy work, correct?
Yes. And I had actively been doing it for 20 plus years. But here's the thing, Terry. I have most recently been gifted the opportunity to now go out and start something that's really close to my heart, right? And so all the time, and I don't know if you've been asked before, but what is your purpose, right? Like, why do you exist outside of serving yourself? And like for a long time, I could never really answer that question. And I worked on a lot of brands where I had to shape the heart of the brand, which is the purpose. And I was like, I think I need to think about what that means for me. And so I started working on that, right? And became really clear. And as I mentioned, over the last few months, I've been able to really shape and birth what I mentioned to you, which is Halo & Kin. And that entrepreneurial focus, right, has allowed me to start walking in my purpose and living on purpose, right? Focused on what is something that's meaningful to me. So it's really about the youth. It's about empowering them. It's around giving them a voice. It's around giving them the tools that's going to allow them to build intentional, purposeful, and resilient lives, right? So that's been my focus recently. And I am telling you, I'm on cloud 9.
That's great. But before we get to that, I want to
Yeah.
walk our viewers and listeners through like what was your career ascent? I know you went into marketing, you used to work at Deloitte as an accountant, but where
Yeah.
did you start your marketing career as a brand strategist?
Yes, so I started at Avery Dennison, and that was actually in LA. So you would know Avery from office products that you use around the house, whether it's binders, whether it's highlighters, markers, glue stick. Those were the categories in which it operated, and it also did a lot in adhesives as well. But that to me was just the beginning, right? I really wanted that fundamental CPG experience, consumer packaged goods, for those of you who may not know. But the thing is, when you're studying, they're like, that is where you're going to get your foundational training. That's where you need to be. So I'm like, okay. So when I moved to the East, which had a lot of opportunities, I was like, that is all I'm focusing on. How do I get there? And so Johnson and Johnson then became my foray into the CPG space. And from there, it has just built. And from Johnson and Johnson to Mars Wrigley to then Unilever. And so I've spent many, many years building global brands, and it's been phenomenal.
And that in of itself is an accomplishment because these aren't just small organizations. To get into these organizations is a high degree of difficulty, the nature of which is competitive, and you're competing at the highest level,
Absolutely.
driving awareness and rollouts and things of that nature, not just nationally, but globally. So,
Absolutely.
so
I
I,
got to tell you, it's funny because sometimes we take those things for granted, right? I
mhm.
mean, it wasn't until I was looking at a company just recently, and I thought about my experience at Unilever on the Degree brand. I was leading that brand. It's a $675 million brand on
Mm.
just, and this is just deodorant, right? And globally, it's over 2 billion. And the company was 500 million. And I'm like, wait a minute, the brand is much bigger than the whole company, and,
Right.
and that's probably truth, in many cases. But like absolutely what you said, I have been honored to have been given this opportunity, grateful for the opportunity. I learned a lot in those spaces, in those seats, and I also gave a lot, right? I
Mhm.
also influenced and I shaped and I built millions of dollars for these companies too. So it was a great mutual exchange, but an awesome experience for sure.
Then did you have any like pinch me moments? The little girl from Inglewood, and now she's driving brands globally, or it just became part of your normal at some point?
No, I mean, I love how you just coined that pinch me moments, like wake me up. Am I dreaming? Like, is
Mhm.
this real? Right. And absolutely, when I started making a certain amount of money, right. And it was like, is this real? Right. I'm making more money than my parents, and I can do things for them now. I can help buy them a car. I can, these are things that I only dreamed about. Like, how could I be able to support the people that I love or give back to the people that I love? So every time I brought a smile to their face and I was like, I did it. I had to pinch myself like, is this real? Because
Right.
I remember the days when I had, vision boards and all things set up of just things and ideas and goals that I wanted to accomplish. And it was like, wow, this is no longer on a board. It's now a reality. And so those were really sweet.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I mean, I know we all have some kind of humble beginning, whether it's from
Absolutely.
a place that I grew up in, Charleston, West Virginia. It's not Inglewood, but it offers some humble beginnings. And then I think when you grow up in some of these neighborhoods, there's a limit on who you feel like you can be because based on what you've been exposed to.
Exactly.
How many accountants did you meet in Inglewood? How many brand strategists did you meet in Inglewood? How many fill in the blank? And I really believe that exposure is the
Yes,
thing that we need to continue to harp on. That's
exactly.
and that's one of the things that's near and dear to me and how why this podcast has been able to have the legs that it's been able to continue to have grown with guests like you sharing your story, sharing about what it is you've done professionally, how you got there, and more importantly, where you came from.
Absolutely.
Because a lot of people, they don't see them getting to the heights that you've reached.
Yes, you're absolutely right. I mean, I couldn't have said it better. And oftentimes in circles that I'm in and in circles where I'm, discussing with individuals, I say, if you can see it, you can be it.
Mm,
Right. So exposure is so key. And it doesn't have to necessarily be within distance of where you are. Right. I mean,
mhm.
if you desire to learn more, be more, if you seek and you're curious, right? You can now begin to expose yourself to other things and not be limited to what's in and around you, right? Because the world is so big. And as much as social media has its challenges, it does give you easy access at your fingertips to start punching and exploring a few things, right? And asking
Right.
what's out there for me and what's possible.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think that social media, just media as a whole, it can be a gift or it can be a curse. And
Absolutely.
we have to just continue to use it as the gift that it is to be able to showcase people in a very favorable manner, because oftentimes the media spends so much time depicting people of color in a negative
Mhm.
regard. So rather than complain about that, if you're a black owned media company like myself, then why
Yeah.
can't you produce content
That
that
shifts the narrative.
it's just the narrative? And it gives people the opportunity to see people that they can be. And more importantly, I'm sure, and I want to get to this, because when you have these phenomenal jobs, it's just like a basketball player or a football player. Pick the sport. You can't be the starting quarterback for the New York Giants forever. You
No,
can't be the
you got it.
starting
It's got a
point
shelf
guard.
life.
You got a shelf life. You have a shelf life in that corporate job. And I think a lot of people don't understand that and realize that. And then at some point they have to pivot at a certain stage of their career. But that pivot is more times than not, it's to your advantage, because now that's where you can find your purpose on purpose. You can walk and be able to show up in a holistic manner that you may not be able to show up in a set of circumstances. So now, and then you have the confidence that you've been able to ascertain from those experiences at all of these different brands and all of these illustrious companies. So at some point in time, you made that transition. What led to that transition, and how did you get through, if there were any fears of the uncertainty of being an entrepreneur?
But there are many fears. There are many fears, right? Sometimes life happens, and when it happens, you can either decide, you know, how you're basically going to react to it, right? And then whether or not you're going to see it as something that is like, woe is me, and like, oh my God, how could this happen to me? And this is terrible, dismal moment. Or you can look at it as an opportunity and say, wait a minute, this is a gift, right? And so when I think about my life having taken different twists and turns, some of them I was prepared for and others I wasn't. I was like, okay, well, this is where we are, right? This is where we are. We're in some restructuring moments here. And so let me actually take this as a gift. And I was very happy to say, hey, I'm ready to do something else. So I'm okay with these decisions, right? And so did that. I moved on. Now, Terry, was it easy? Was I scared? Yes, because for many years it was very easy in that you understood the assignment, you understood the expectation. Now you're stepping out there and you have to create the assignment. You have to create expectations for yourself, right? And the people that you're serving is so much bigger. So fears come every day.
Mhm.
Fears come every day. And in fact, you have to keep telling yourself, look, I'm just going to jump. And on my way down, I will grow my wings.
Mhm.
And that's how you have to take it, because if you allow it to scare you and then do nothing, I mean, you definitely not going anywhere, right? And that's the thing about entrepreneurship. You have to create your own opportunities. And
Right.
so fear has its place and it has its moment, but then you have to move on. And so that's what I keep choosing to do every day. So when it comes, I'm like, okay, I see you, but I also know that the God that I serve is not one of fear. So God, help me in this moment. Let's do this together, right? Tell me what I need to know and help me see what I need to understand in order to move past this. And I get the answers all the time. I get
Mhm.
the answers.
A lot of times people fear the unknown. And
Yes,
I like to say that the blessing is in the unknown. That's what makes life worth living.
yes.
If life becomes too predictable,
It's
then
boring.
you can become a prisoner of your own mind.
Hmm. Hmm.
And what we have to do is we have to embrace the unknown. We have to embrace the
Absolutely.
opportunities that come with that. And
Absolutely.
if you want to use an analogy of, let's say, swimming, you're never going to learn how to swim holding on to the edge of the pool.
No,
You have
no.
you have to just, have faith in your
Jump
ability
in.
to swim and jump in and acclimate yourself with the temperature of the water,
Yeah,
and slowly but surely build up your endurance to eventually be able to swim the
absolutely.
length of the pool,
Yes.
and surround yourself by other strong swimmers. So as an entrepreneur, I really believe that we have to support one another, because there's not a lot of people outside of being entrepreneurs who can understand our realities.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely. I
we
couldn't
have
agree
to
with you
support one
more.
another.
I couldn't agree with you more. You need a team. You need
Mhm.
a team. But I got to tell you, we were together as we just talked about at Black Week. And I don't know if you were at the session with TD Jakes and
Absolutely.
iHeartMedia. And if you remember the analogy, right? And so I haven't forgotten it. So when you talk about moments and things that we have to tell ourselves to keep going, right? In those moments that we're fearful, I keep playing back something that he said, and he gave this analogy around the ants, right? And he said, you will see this little bitty old ant pushing this piece of bread that is about 10 times its size, right? Alone. But he's focused. He's focused on getting that piece of bread to where it needs to go, right? But he also knows that there is going to be an army of ants that are going to come right along and help him get that piece of bread and that little crumb to the finish line. And so he talked about the fact that you have to have goals that are so big and dreams that are so big that you cannot push it alone.
Right.
Because if you can push it alone, it's not big enough. So you have to have goals and dreams that are going to inspire others to come along and be that army that's going to help you, right? Get it across the finish line. So when you talk about things like operating in a sense of fear and just believing you're going to have the right team around you, right? To kind of help you go, I remember that story, right? When you talk about having people that you can work with, right? Helping other people, building, right? How do we work with others? How do we work with others to help us, create something bigger? I think about that story on the ants. So I couldn't agree with you more, right? And it's all about, what do you create as a vision that's going to inspire, right? The army of ants and other folks to come along and help you move that forward across the finish line. And that's our job, right?
Mhm.
So your words are correct, but we also have a responsibility in that yes, we have to work together, but we need to make sure we're planting seeds that other people want to be a part of in terms of seeing it grow.
I agree. Not only did I attend that session, I was able to engage him after the session. And
Wow.
right. So when I mentioned, I didn't just say I'm from West Virginia. When
Yeah.
I mentioned that I was from Pinewood,
Mm.
he immediately was like, wait a minute, homeboy. And why did he say that, Desi? He used to live in my neighborhood.
Wow. Now,
When I
did you
say,
know that when you went and
yeah,
talked to him?
absolutely. I knew that.
Okay.
This is why I
Okay.
said Pinewood. I
He was
knew that.
intentional.
Yeah, very intentional. I mean, his story, I was able to witness in real time. It was somebody that used to have a brown bucket at the foot of our hill and had a rope holding up the bumper.
Wow.
And as kids, we would make fun of whoever was driving the car.
Mm.
Who knew the person driving that car was TD Jakes?
Wow. Who
This
knew?
is a man who had an 8-member church way off the beaten path, an hour away from where we were living at. He was to my understanding, if I'm not mistaken, he was a janitor at the local chemical plant.
Okay.
I mean, his financial circumstances, they weren't we grew up by comparison, far more comfortable than what his reality was.
And you see what he's been able to build.
And now fast forward. So he is just one of many examples that I can point to. If he can do it, why can't I? Why can't you? Why can't anyone? Because I know stories of people's humble beginnings to be such that they could have given up a long time ago.
Yes.
And to see where they are now. Speaking of someone rocking a cool hat, I remember when D Nice was just another DJ in the city.
Okay.
And now fast forward, D Nice is the DJ from the
DJ
city.
in demand.
Right.
He built a name for himself during COVID. That's for sure. Reinvented himself.
That's what it's about. And you were able to do the same thing. I mean, we all have figured out ways to reinvent ourselves over the years. I've wore a number of different hats, whether in music, film, and then eventually television, but you have to always put yourself in a position where you can be a force multiplier in the room and show up and have that calling on you. And then as a result, it will attract people to you and they'll want to become more curious about what is it that you do? That's how we met. Hold on, Terry, what do you do? What do you do? Who is this guy?
Who are you?
Who are you? Who's this guy, bouncing around and everybody, hey, what's going on? So, and that's really what it's about. You don't want to be that person that hides in the shadows. The
No,
opportunity is not in the shadows. The
no,
opportunity is in the light.
it's in the limelight.
And you have to embrace that light. So talk to us
Mhm.
more about Halo and Ken, some of the things you're doing and all
Yeah.
of that good stuff.
Well, thank you, Terry. I mean, it's been great when we talk about people who need the limelight, right? And need the focus and the attention. It's our youth. They are our future. I mean, Tupac said it best, right?
Right,
Like,
right.
and we have to remember that. And it's our responsibility, no matter where we get to in life, that we feel as though we have a role to create something better for them, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so Halo and Ken, as I mentioned to you, it's really about youth empowerment, right? It's really around helping students and kids lead, specifically teens, right? Lead and create a life that they're proud of, a life that's sustainable because it is intentional, it's purposeful, and it's a resilient life. And they need resilience because the stuff that's going on in this world, we need
Mm-hmm.
some resilience. We need some tough skin to make it
We
through,
do.
right? And so we provide curriculum that does all of that. And we have a signature course called Crafting the Life That You Really Want. And again, it is talking to kids at a young age about things, Terry, that I wish people talked to me about when I was younger. I didn't get to
Mm-hmm.
learn all this stuff till I was much older. So
Right.
when you even mentioned, when someone says, "Who are you?" Wait a minute, hold on, let me think about that. I need to think about that. Who am
Mm-hmm.
I? Because we know our titles, we know what we do, but who are you? And so in this course, we explore those things, right? It's an interactive course, it's engaging. So we talk about, and I help the kids craft and understand, who are you and why do you exist outside of serving yourself, right? So what's your purpose? I didn't know what my purpose was for a long time, and I probably would have saved a lot of time and made a lot more money have I gotten there a lot sooner than I did, right? I talked to you about being an accountant first and then moving to marketing. But all of these experiences are always good. But then more importantly, I talk about, how do they understand what it is they really want in life? But you got to understand why you want it. Because at the end of the day, the why is your true motivator,
Mm-hmm.
right? That is your true motivator. And that's what's going to get you to the finish line. So I take them through this 5-step process that I've created to getting what it is that you want, right? And in a way that's sustainable. And at the end, I talk to them and we work through the importance of your mindset. Terry, you know better than anybody, right? And all that you've been able to create. Success starts in the mind.
Mm-hmm.
Your mind is your reality, right? And your mindset drives behaviors that then drive the outcome that you want to see. So we spend time talking about that and these concepts around intentionality and accountability and being grateful, gratitude, right? Simple things that not only do you need to embrace as a youth, but you need to take that all the way into adulthood,
Mm-hmm.
because it's going to carry you forward. So that's our foundational course. And we really lay the work, like the work
Mm-hmm.
around that. And then I have other courses that wrap around that really help them again with life skills, whether it's financial literacy, whether it's branding you. What's your personal brand? Right? Everybody has one, and you either going to define it and cultivate it, or somebody else is going to do it for you. And 9 times out of 10, you're not going to like what they choose.
Right.
Right? We talk about all sorts of things, resilience. You got to, bend but don't break, college readiness, career readiness. So we have a whole suite of courses that we take kids through, but they got to know math and they got to know science and how to read. But you know what? They got to know a whole lot more. And that's what I want to make sure that they're equipped with, and the tools that they have to lead the life they want. So that's what Halo Ken's mission is all about. Guiding the community.
Thinking about starting your own business? Make it real with Shopify, the all-in-one platform trusted by millions to sell online and in person. Whether it's merch, art, or digital goods, Shopify gives you the tools to build, grow, and succeed. And here's the best part. When you sign up using the affiliate link in our show notes, you're supporting Prepare for Takeoff and starting your business off right. Click the link and start your free trial today. That's great work you're doing, but it's also distinctively different from what you've done in your past life as a brand strategist. So,
Well,
or is it not?
I love that you asked me that question, because If you think about brands, Terry, brands are just like people, right? So brands take time to define their brand ethos and who they are and who they serve and how they show up and what are the distinctive memory structures that they want to put in place so that people understand who they are and what they're about. And so what is beautiful about this work is that I weave in, right, all of my professional experience, my personal life stories that become a lesson. As you mentioned, exposure and sort of helping people see things, right, and what they can be. But I also weave into the curriculum marketing and branding. And as I mentioned, a brand mirrors that of a person. So there's lots of synergies and ways in which it makes sense. So I haven't left my branding background alone completely. I've just found a new way to sort of utilize it and make it work in a different environment.
So you basically are using the same formula. You've just changed the variables.
Yes. And made it appropriate for the audience, which is what we as marketers do. You got to know your audience. Well, the first thing, who's your target?
Right.
And so now you need to make that message relevant for them based on their needs and their pain points. And so that's essentially what I've done. I have created and crafted courses that do just that for the teens. It's what they need, it's their pain points, so it's what they want, and I've made it applicable.
That's great. Now, how long have you had Halo and Ken up and running?
Halo and Ken now has been up and running for about 6 months. And
Okay.
it's got a lot of traction. It's got a lot of traction. I mean, I was over here in New Jersey running this thing, and now New York is demanding time and attention. So I'm expanding out that way as well. And yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing when you have the right message for that audience. It's amazing the reception that you will get
Mm-hmm.
because it just makes sense.
That's another telltale when you walk into your purpose on purpose. It seems as though God will open up doors early on.
Yes.
But before anything, he will let you know that you're doing the right thing. You're doing something that's honoring yourself, but more importantly, honoring me by way of
Yes.
pursuing your passion. Because God put something on your spirit. I like to say that although God put something on our spirit, the enemy
Mm,
tries to manipulate our mind
mm,
to rob us of our destiny.
that's right.
We all have a destiny, and many times, sad but unfortunately true, people leave this earth without fulfilling their destiny. But if we surround ourselves by the right people, similar to what we said earlier, it's no different than what your mom and dad may have told you in Inglewood. Stay away from
Mm,
that person. I don't want you
yes,
working with that person. I don't want you this. So the same way it works in the negative, it works that way in the positive. I want
absolutely.
you with that person. I want you to get cultivating relationships with that side of the room. I want this because at the end of the day, like is drawn to like. So if you're
Yeah,
around people who are doing phenomenal work and they're committed to their community and they're being intentional in that capacity, then that's going to only serve you if you're with those same type of individuals. But if you're around a bunch of naysayers, yeah, Desi, I hear you, but I don't have time for all that. Bottom line, I need to know what the outcome is going to be, and it's that you can't surround yourself by that kind of clutter. Those individuals have the wrong mindset. So I think
no,
it's imperative that you surround yourself by people who have the right mindset, who want to be successful, or more importantly, what you determine success to be.
absolutely. I love what you just said, and I've got two things. And again, these are things and points that I share with my kids. You attract who you are, not what you want. So again, being clear on who you are and the things that you desire, right? You make sure, right? You're giving that out into the atmosphere. But the other thing that I have them do is an exercise. And Terry, I wonder if you've heard or seen this at all, ever mentioned. I want you to tell me who your 5 closest friends are.
Okay.
And I want you to tell me what you like about them and what don't you like about them. And I want you to be super clear about that, right? And I ask the kids that question. And I say the reason why I asked you to do this exercise is because your 5 closest friends are the sum of you.
Mm,
They reflect you. So everything you like about them, everything you don't like about them, yeah, that's what's going to be showing up in your character. So you need to choose your friends wisely, right? So as you talk about, who you surround yourself with, that's basically the summation of that, and the kids. And it's another way to really talk to them about understanding who they are or who they're becoming. So let's get real with that, right? And so anyway, to your point, yes, who you surround yourself with will influence you, will shape you, and certainly will leave a footprint on you.
Mm-hmm. You're giving these kids a lot of good game. You're giving them a lot of good game. And to have just been in business for 6 months, I only can imagine how it's going to continue to expand as time continues to go on, because you're a savant at what you do. And this is just your latest brand strategy moment. And like
Yeah.
you said you've just changed your focus on who the brand is and
And who the audience.
who the
Yep.
audience is. And you continue to do that, and you do it at a high level. And then once you walk into somebody's ecosystem and they see that you are the one who has all the answers, why would they not continue to come running?
This is what's happening. And I feel blessed, honestly. I really feel blessed because I'm stumbling on some things. I'm walking into some things very boldly. It's all happening at different times, but I'm basically where I need to be and I'm making it work.
Right. Now, in addition to working with the kids, are you doing any brand strategy consultant work with other brands,
Yes.
things of that nature?
Yes. So I have also, so prior to Halo and Canon, I'm still working and I still do that as well sporadically, is working with small businesses. So now I get to bring that Fortune 100, that Fortune 500, experience to these smaller business that would probably never really have the opportunity to have that caliber of person working and walking side by side with them, right? To shape their business. And so that is what I'm doing. And so from everything from supplements to food distribution to clothing lines, smaller companies to empanada restaurants, so all of these things, right, that people need expertise. They need to understand what branding really means. It's not just about throwing a product out there, that you hope will sell, that you're passionate about and that you're in love with. We need to create a product that will actually meet the needs of the consumers and the target that you're going after. And not only thinking about your business today, but we need to strategically think about what next over the next 3 years through innovation and renovation. How are you continuing, right, to make sure that your product is relevant? And so I do that. In fact, I'll be doing a session out in Harlem where I'll be meeting with some small business owners, and I'm going to do a course that combines two things, right? It's going to first talk about the mindset and some of these things that we need to understand, like who we are and our purpose, because if we have entrepreneurship opportunities and things that we're delving into, right? Like you said, it's not easy to be an entrepreneur and you got to fortify your mind. So I talk to them about that level of clarity that they need to have personally. And then we dive into, well, do you have a product that's actually going to sell? And so then the next half of it is really around the marketing strategy piece of it and making sure that they're setting themselves up for success. So, I am finding a way, honestly, to blend all of the talents in multiple spaces, but ensuring that one, I continue to keep not only the people, but the community that I serve top of mind.
This episode of Prepare for Takeoff is brought to you in part by Riverside, the platform that I trust to record studio quality podcasts right from my laptop. With Riverside, I get crystal clear audio and 4K video. Plus, it's super easy to use. Whether you're a beginner or a pro, Riverside helps your podcast sound amazing. Try it out for yourself. Click the affiliate link in our show notes and start recording like a pro. You're tapping into all of the resources. You're tapping into all of the gifts that God has bestowed on you. And
Yes.
God gives us more than one gift. He gives us
More
a
than
multitude
one.
of gifts. And if we
Absolutely.
don't tap into that gift, in some instances, we'll lose that.
Absolutely.
And you are tapping into who you are as a humanitarian, as far as working with these children, working with these small businesses, and you're still serving in a humanitarian capacity, because you're right. They probably wouldn't otherwise have access to someone like you. How many people who have walked those halls at Unilever are coming back to the community and they're pouring into these small business owners in a way that you know how to pour into them? More times than not, once they go downtown, they don't come back uptown. Right? Right. But what it is, that just shows me your commitment to community,
Yeah,
which I think is a testament of your character.
absolutely. It's important. Some people did it for me, right?
Hmm.
We don't get to where we are on our own, that's for sure. I know we talked about the story with the ants, but that's the truth. And so, whenever and wherever you can lean into, right, your ability to give to someone else, I think it is absolutely our responsibility to do just that.
It is. I mean, there's so many other communities do that, and we have to do the same. And even though we complain about these narratives that have been used to describe us, sad but unfortunately too, Desi, we feed into the narratives.
Some of us do. Some of us do, and some do not, right?
Right.
Every day we all have a choice, right?
Right.
We all have a choice. And I think individuals more often than not will make the right choice, but there will be some who don't. And see, the problem is that the folks like you, the folks like me, we may not get right. We may not get the noise and the fanfare. So you don't know, but that small 20% gets all the attention. And then that now screams louder.
Right. That is true. That is true. Like, you're right. I don't want to typecast us as a community, but for me, it just seems as though when you think of some of the things that we don't want to be associated with, it should be none of us subscribing to it. And one of the things that comes to mind is the age old crab in the bucket.
Yeah.
But here's my thing. There's a multitude of different types of crabs that we can be. You can be the crab in the bucket that's trying to pull somebody down into the bucket, pull them
Or
down on
pull
your
somebody
level,
up.
or you can be the kind of crab that can pull somebody up.
Yes.
And what it is there needs to be an expectation
Mm-hmm.
on us as it relates to, like W.E.B. Du Bois said, the talented 10%, let's go out and get all of the resources and let's bring them back to the community. And you're
Absolutely.
doing that. You're truly the talented 10%, and you're bringing those things back to the community. And that's
Thank
why
you.
people are gravitating to you in such a way, because especially people in the neighborhood, especially young people, the one thing, if nothing else, they will spot you out. And if you're not authentic, if you're not there for the right reasons and you're not being intentional in that regard, they're going to
Yes.
tune you out. But that just speaks to your spirit. You have a spirit that's inviting. You have a spirit that is warm to the point where they're going to be far more inclined to receive that than they may be from someone else.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So, Desi, as we close out, I want to give you the opportunity to leave our viewers and listeners with 3 things that you feel will help them prepare for takeoff.
Let's see. That is a phenomenal question. I think I'm going to go back to some of the things and some of the points that I made earlier in our discussion. One, you got to fortify your mindset, right? You got to fortify your mind because there's a lot of things coming. You got to manage what's coming in. You got to
Mhm.
manage what's coming in, right? So that you can really execute in the way that you have been designed to do. So really protect your mind because success starts in the mind, right? The second one I would say is, again, being clear with who you are, because that is your anchor. That is going to help you make decisions you need to make. It's also going to help you create boundaries, right? And that is where it all starts. So be very clear on who you are and your why. Why do you exist? The sooner you get to that understanding, the better for you. And I'm not saying it's not going to evolve and change as you grow and move into different spaces, but the core of who you are will never change.
Mhm.
And then the last thing, you got to have some goals.
Mm.
Like, you cannot be waking up every day and just letting life happen. What are your goals? And let's get them down somewhere, right? In a way that's prioritized and in a way that's actionable so that you can begin to create the dreams, right? Manifest the dreams that you see and have for yourself and everyone that you love. But you got to have goals. You got to have goals. So, those would be the 3 things that I would share with the audience. And hopefully, it creates opportunities and creates joy, most importantly.
Those were 3 jewels, if I can say so myself. And I'm certain that if they apply those, they will truly prepare themselves to take off. And what I also wanted to do is give you the opportunity to share any of your contact details with us on social media, your website, email, whatever you feel comfortable with sharing, because I'm sure our viewers and listeners are going to want to figure out a way they can tap in with you.
Yeah, you can email me at Desi, Desi OKEKE. So my first name and last name, 73 at gmail.com. And then also we have a website, Halo and Kin, HALO and that's AND, Kin, KIN.com. You can find us and find and learn more about what we offer and what we are here to do.
Now, do you spend a lot of time on social media or not so much?
You know what? I do. I mean, you have to kind of understand what's going on, but we are crafting and curating, what that looks like for the company for sure. But I'm on social media as much as I need to be to get the knowledge and information that I want. But I don't immerse myself too much, as you know, it can be a distraction. But of course, just like everybody else, I like Instagram and TikTok.
Right, right. Yeah, because I know that a lot of times when you think of how information is being consumed or how it's been shared,
Yes.
a lot of times people rely on social media. So I didn't know if there was any additional social media handles you wanted to share, or if that's not necessarily a place that you find yourself at, then, that's totally up to you.
No, it is a place that you will find us. We're in the midst of cultivating it at this point
Okay.
in time. So yeah, but I can certainly give you some follow-up information to share with the followers and the listeners when it's ready to go. But absolutely, you need to be where the people are, and the kids is certainly on social media.
Right. And that's the first thing that came to mind because you're engaging kids in their own social media nonstop. So that's the way in which
Exactly.
they receive most of their information.
Exactly.
So Desi, listen, much continued success. I truly enjoyed our conversation. Thanks for spending so much time with us.
Absolutely.
And please allow us to give you the virtual flowers that you deserve. You're doing great
Thank
work in the community and you truly represent the talented 10%, bringing those
you.
resources and expertise back to the community. Salute to you and all of what it is you're doing.
Thank you so much, Terry. I really appreciate you as well and everything that you're doing. You're doing phenomenal work as well, creating that exposure that we talked about. And I am so excited that our paths crossed at Black Week. And hopefully I'll see you there again next year.
Absolutely. I'm just as pleased with the fact that we met, and then we met so many other people there that were like-minded, and we have to find ourselves in those kind of ecosystems. And then more importantly, we have to do what it is we've done. So it's one thing to meet somebody at Black Week, one thing to meet somebody at another conference, but you have to follow up with those individuals and cultivate those relationships.
Yes. Yeah,
And we were able to do that, and which led to you appearing on the podcast.
absolutely. We did it.
We did it. Well, Desi, thanks for spending so much time with us and much continued success. And also, I wanted to thank our viewers and listeners, whether you're watching us on YouTube or watching us on Spotify or you're listening to us on Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Audible, iHeart, or Pandora. As you know, every week we're going to continue to bring you proven professionals, rising entrepreneurs, and all of these conversations, just like this one, will help you prepare for takeoff. Desi, thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much, Terry. Have a great evening.